Hey there, Cheesemeisters, and welcome back to the Peach Pod After Dark. I am Jeff, and I'm the one poor schnook who's gonna get it from a hole in the ceiling. And joining me on the other end of the internet, my cuz-host.
I'm Leslie, and well, I know exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, I liked it. Nice job.
Thank you.
So this week we are watching Barefoot in the Park. Neil Simon's 1967, well, at least the sex is good masterpiece. Starring Robert Redford, Jane Fonda, Charles Boyer, Mildred Natwick, and Herb Edelman, Stans Bornak himself from Golden Girls.
Oh,
Yeah, he is our spelling connection this week. He did an episode of The Love Boat. He was the telephone install guy.
yeah.
Yeah. And we're watching this week in conjunction with season 3, episode 2, The Twins, The Trustee, and The Very Big Trip. And obviously because Dylan and Brenda moved in together and there was marital strife, cohabitational strife, it seemed like a good idea to watch this movie, which I had only seen once and a while ago.
And it turned out I had never seen it. I just
Okay.
read the play and knew it well enough. I did a scene from this in a college acting class, and it's crazy how it all came back to me as I watched it.
So which scene did you do?
The fight scene. So just
Okay.
that scene around where the line I just did, like, so she's calling him out on, like, you're just not very exciting, and like,
Right.
I can't believe how boring you are, how unadventurous, and then all of a sudden it just goes from 0 to 100.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that whole scene is quite something.
Yeah,
Uh,
we you know simmered a bit more before
okay.
we went from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
You know, what do I know? Jane Fonda's a big name. I am not.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a million ways you can have a fight with your significant other. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
like it, it could be like boom, we're both super pissed like right now, and it could be a slow build, or it could be like seemingly innocuous and then bah because somebody triggered something. So it could jump up.
Yeah, and like, I think it's worth noting we have, you know, one half of our leads is coming off the Broadway show and the other half is not.
Mm.
So like,
So, tell me about that because I don't know about that.
Robert Redford, I just read, was the original Paul Bratter on Broadway.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I was thinking about this. This happened multiple times with shows on Broadway getting transferred to or getting made into a movie.
Mm.
The female lead doesn't get to go because she's not pretty enough.
Right. Or it's like 2 years later and now she's too old or some garbage.
Maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah. So I think you have some people still like playing it as if it's to an audience. It was funny watching it because it's almost still blocked in a proscenium style,
Sure. Yeah.
but still on film. So like they did some transitions well, but then other parts I'm like, oh, this still feels like it's on stage. So like you can tell that it feels empty to them.
What do you mean?
Well, when you've
What feels
performed
empty?
something
Like
on
that there's no
stage,
audience?
yeah, like when you've performed something
Oh,
on stage and you're always told like wait for a laugh here because there's going to be a laugh.
got it.
And then on film all of a sudden it's I just said the line.
Right. The rhythm is just off. Yeah.
It's different. It's
Yeah.
having to find a new way to do it without.
Okay, so I really want to know more about this, but let's tell people what happens in this movie, like what this movie is, in case they don't know. Um,
It's the odd
yeah,
couple, but they're married.
kinda, yeah. But with weird shit on top of it. Like a
Always.
neighbor's neighbor and a mom who isn't horny but should be horny. Um, there's all sorts of stuff going on in this movie. So, Robert Redford and Jane Fonda are newlyweds. after a 6-day long not coming out of the hotel fuckarama on their honeymoon, they move into their apartment, uh, which neither of them have seen. Neither one of them apparently realized that it's on the fifth, sixth, or ninth floor, depending on which of the panting human beings that stumbles across their threshold says that it is.
Yeah.
It's very tiny. The bedroom is very, very tiny.
Oh my
The closet is a steam pipe that you can just sort of hang your clothes on if you got hangers. No tub shower. So he takes baths, and now he's not going to be able to. And they move in, and it's rough, and they get furniture, and it's cute. And they're like horn dogs for each other, but he's a lawyer. He's like trying to get his career going. Like he's got a big first court case in the morning. And like he's just trying to like be a guy with a job, and she's and you can feel free to disagree with my interpretation of what's happening in this movie.
Okay.
She married someone and then thought they were someone else and got real mad at him for being who he always was. And they have this huge fight that she immediately wants a divorce because she's literally apparently never had a disagreement with another human being in her life. So she doesn't know how to moderate this shit. And so she loses her mind and kicks him out. But at the same time, they've got this crazy ass upstairs neighbor who sometimes takes a ladder up to his apartment and sometimes climbs out their window.
No, absolutely not.
And weird. But he's eccentric. He's an interesting fella. He doesn't seem like he's dangerous. He's weird, but he doesn't seem dangerous.
Oh, my quills were up.
Yeah, your spidey sense was tingling hard.
Absolutely. I would have been like, yeah, you're going to need to find a new apartment.
Well, there's that. I mean, mine was too, except for I know that it's a Neil Simon thing, and he's not like, this guy's not a murderer. That's not the show we're watching.
He set off too many things for me for the like. It doesn't have to have been a lot, but anytime I hear someone and it's always an older gentleman going like, I'm a good guy. I'm a nice guy. I'm like,
right.
That tells me everything I need to know. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Right. You protest too much, good sir.
I will speak all three for you. I will be very polite and leave.
Yeah, exactly. But I figured that's not this play. So
it's not.
This guy's just quirky, and what's her name?
Ethel Banks.
No. What's Jane Fonda's? Corey. I was like, starts with a C. Corey's mom, 58-year-old widow.
52.
Oh, he's 58.
Yes.
That's what it was. So the upstairs neighbor's 58. The 52-year-old widowed mother, not cool. 1967 Neil Simon, calling 52 old.
Oh, the way they have her act, I was like, is she 80?
I mean, people were older then.
I know.
It was a whole thing. But as someone who is like much closer to 52 than not, that's some silly shit. But she's like, let's hook mom up with the charming upstairs fella. I don't even know how to
protect herself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Put a mom buffer between the upstairs neighbor and yourself.
Yeah.
It's a bold strategy that is not too considerate of the mother shield that you've set up, but I like it.
Yeah.
Here, mom, you date him. Keep creeping into my room in the middle of the night. And the mom spends the night with the guy, and it's a whole thing. And what'll they say? Wake up, little Susie. It just happened to Susie with the mom. And the climax of the movie. I said that fun. The climax
The
Um,
climax.
Way to put the emphasis on the wrong syllable, Jeff. The climax of the movie is him trying to fall off the roof and her getting up there and stopping him. And everybody on the street down below looks up and the happily ever after.
You know, that's just typical New Yorkers right there. Because if you hurt yourself, then you're just thrown off the whole day.
Right.
So they were like, oh, thank God, there's not going to be traffic now.
Right.
To stop the subways. Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
There's selfishness on their part.
This is very close to inconveniencing me.
Exactly.
I won't have it.
Yeah.
Neither will Ember.
No, she will not. Yeah, your analysis, it's funny. As I was watching it, I thought, Corey is coming off like not fully fleshed out. You know, it's, and as you were talking about it, I realized, was this Neil Simon's way of showing how modern wives are struggling? Had he read Betty Friedan's book?
I don't know.
Feminine Mystique? Because this feels like this was his way of making it funny. Like, you know, take the feminine mystique, make it a comedy, and we have an insurmountable problem here.
I'm not as familiar with like the things that are laid out in the feminine mystique. So like what aspects of that are you like?
The gist of it is that women aren't satisfied being stuck at home all the time. Like women are meant to do more. Gotcha. I would correct it today to today's terms and just be like, none of us are meant to stay at home all the time. Right. None of us, our job should not just be home. You know, right. We should be allowed to do other things. Like but, beach. You know, I was thinking should be allowed to be, you know, our job should be beach, but also maybe we need to, you know, extrapolate on what that job means.
Gotcha.
Okay. Since, you know, Ken brings the patriarchy into Barbie Land because he doesn't know what his job is. Anyway. Sure. Yeah. So feminine mystique, the gist, women are unhappy because they're not allowed to do more than what is expected of them, you know, being a wife and a mother.
So, but what does Corey want though, other than like just straight fucking? Because she's horn dogged out.
So that's
what does she want?
I don't think she knows because I think Corey is a good example, possibly, of women at the time wanting to be modern, but also having this notion of womanhood ingrained in them. So, you know, she has a lot of modern ideals, and yet at the same time, we don't see her working. We don't see her striving to work. Like, she just wants to be home all day and not do anything. So like she's almost a hippie, but she's way too bougie to be a hippie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think Corey doesn't know who she is. I think she met someone, and because she's quirky and loves to do things on a whim or by the seat of her pants, she got married because that's what you do. And now she's like, well, I don't think she can handle being alone.
I don't know. We never get to see her try, you know?
No, well, and that's where I feel like the story of Corey is not...
That rhymes, Marge, and you know it rhymes. Admit it.
It's not like fully fleshed out, you know? There, you know, all the stuff I'm coming up with kind of brings a darkness to this comedy.
Yeah.
You know, but that's me. Right, and then
sure.
two, how else would you come up with, like, I guess building this character's backstory or story around each time she's in a scene, you know, because she's always chatting up anyone and everyone, you know, which great, friendly. But again, go ahead.
Is it possible she's worried about becoming her mom?
Maybe.
And that's why
Aren't we
she's
all?
trying to also hook her mom up with somebody so that her mom isn't becoming her mom.
I think that's a great possibility. And again, it leans into the point of she needs more to do. Like being a
Right.
stay-at-home wife, while some may like it, is not great for all.
Right. Right. And she she kept wanting Paul to be like, let's run barefoot in the grass.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want to do, but you're too much of a fuddy duddy to barefoot in the grass. And that what like when we were just in like our fuck room at the hotel, this relationship was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're here and like the radiator works backwards and it's not big enough really for our bed, and there's this hole in the glass ceiling above me. Oh, there's a hole in the glass ceiling. What about that? Um, and so she's, you know, the hole in the glass ceiling distracted me from my own thought.
No, I was trying to think. I had no comeback for that. I was like, oh, that's
Yeah, no,
interesting.
it derailed me completely though. Um,
Neil Simon that he definitely did not think of.
Probably, yeah, but like she's just like it's not good. It's like it's I was in this hotel just raw dogging it for a week, and now I'm here and it's kind of gross, and my husband's not even home, and when he comes home he just has to get ready because he's got court the next day. um like even when I convince him to come out and take the Staten Island ferry for some Armenian food at a
Why?
upstairs, uh, clearly illegal business operation. Um, the Board of Health not involved in whatever's going on in this upstairs apartment. Um, but when she brings him on this adventure, where she's trying to hook her mom up and get her mom's life a little more vovidiovo, uh, Paul's like falling asleep.
Yeah.
And so she gets like super pissed at him because like her whole life isn't what she thought it was going to be a week ago, which is dumb. Like, why would you assume that your life is just going to be, you know, hotel fuck room for every day?
This is where I realized after watching the movie. Do we know how they met?
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of feel like this is what would have happened for Annie and what's her husband that she met? He's
Oh, in,
unemployable,
in Father of the Bride?
Yeah, and Father of the Bride. What's his name?
Brian.
Brian. That's how Annie met Brian, like, student abroad kind of thing. And
Yeah.
they fell in love, but instead of coming home to like their rich parents, they did this.
Okay.
That's their meet cute in my head.
I mean, I always assumed that it was established that they met and then immediately got married. That's kind of the
Seems
vibe of the
like it.
thing,
It
you
is the
know?
vibe. Yeah, it's the vibe.
Because clearly they haven't discussed anything.
No, not a bit.
I think they got
Yeah.
together faster than anyone on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette.
Well, and if they made it 2 weeks, maybe stayed together longer.
Maybe.
So I like that. He's something about have you signed the divorce papers? He's like, I don't know. The marriage certificate hasn't arrived yet.
I know. That's why I always want to rag on Neil Simon, but he does have like his shows are funny.
Mm-hmm.
They're just really repetitive, and
Sure.
I've also been in one of his dumbest shows, and so that unfortunately weighs on me at times. I'm like,
Gotcha.
God, this show.
Yeah. Which one was it?
It's called Fools. It's about a
Uh,
town in Russia cursed with stupidity.
oh, I've heard of this. I think you told me a joke from this once, and I looked at you like I was trying to figure out where the joke was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, that's I have a memory of that.
fair. The whole play has to be based off a notebook of like jokes he had that didn't fit. It's kind of
Oh,
like a Taylor Swift from the vault, if you will,
gotcha.
except it's not good.
Right. Yep.
Great for high schools. You know, it's you know, it's great if you have people who can do a decent Eastern European accent. Although it doesn't really matter. It's a village cursed with stupidity. Like it doesn't have to
So
sound on point.
let me real quick just translate for the people who are old like me. This is like you think he took all the jokes, and it was like Bob Dylan's basement tapes.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
That's what. Yeah, that's what it is. So, just for anyone who didn't understand the Taylor Swift reference, I wanted to translate it old.
Can you do that more often?
If I think of it, I just thought about that while you were talking. So
That's so great. I hope we think of that more often.
yeah,
Generational references.
yeah. Just Joel. I'm going to make sure you get it. Um, people don't know.
I never want people to feel left out. Unless they're jerks.
Right, and then piss off. Um, I don't know. No, I'm just getting mad at straw men. This has gone off the rails. Uh, um, Speaking of doing rails, let's have some adventures in intimacy.
This one's pretty simple. I know I've talked on here quite a bit about like, reasons why having a choreographer is helpful, like
Mm-hmm.
and an example I often use is like, young couples versus older couples, like and I just mean the length of relationship. I don't necessarily mean like how old the people are, but like
Right.
obviously we have a newly in love couple and we see that in like how much they're making out and how
Mm-hmm.
you know uh in the 60s way they just go into a room, doors shut, she comes out in the pajama top and that's
Yep.
all. um they've not been doing anything um inappropriate. They're married.
Right.
um but I was thinking, I thought it was interesting how she is so as the play progresses, or maybe not even that, like within the first 30 minutes to an hour, she's the one still being super affectionate and all over him,
Yeah.
and he kind of becomes more and more reserved, even in the privacy of their own home.
Right.
And so you wouldn't know this unless you've read the play, so I guess snobby moment there. But when he first comes home from work and she's like, oh, I missed you and everything, you should never leave me again, and he was like, yeah, I actually missed you too. He has a line after that where he talks about how at work he felt sexy slash horny, which
Right.
you couldn't say in the 60s, or they didn't use. They use a lot of different a lot of words that we use now differently. Like
Oh.
he used stoned for drunk.
Yeah. Sure.
And she says at one point, sexy, like meaning horny. But when he gets to that line of his, he doesn't say the feeling sexy part. And I thought, are men not allowed to express like attraction or lust in
1967 movies.
19 which doesn't sound right. That doesn't seem like the right question, because we know they can. Like I haven't seen it, but I know enough about it. I'm like, what's the apartment then?
Right. Right.
Um so I just thought it was strange, and it's probably supposed to be based more off of like his fuddy-duddy nature
Mm-hmm.
or reserved nature, but I still
Yeah.
thought there was a way for him to be affectionate and lovey-dovey
Gotcha.
while being reserved. Like you can, like maybe like you can be responsive to her kissing, but kind of be like, okay, please
Right.
stop.
Right.
Oh, okay. Like,
Yeah.
Maybe it's a shorter
Yeah.
kiss. Maybe it's, gently pushing her away a bit more. But it just felt like they said, Jane, drown him in kisses.
And she
Robert,
said,
don't
"That's
respond.
Robert Redford. I think I'm gonna just do that."
I mean, he's the other half of the daddy pair, which is
Yeah.
Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Uh-huh. No, I knew the connection you were making there. Um, I was wondering where you land. Like
You know,
60-year-old Paul Newman versus 60-year-old, or do you want to um properly weight them by their age, and like 60-year-old Paul Newman and like 43-year-old Robert Redford? I don't know where your spot is with him.
so peak Robert Redford for me,
Uh-huh.
in terms of like must have,
Uh-huh.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance.
Okay. Oh, so you like young Redford. Okay.
Yes, but with the stash.
Okay, Stash Redford. Got it.
And then, of course, what do we have with Paul Newman in his 60s? He has the stash.
You like the mustache. You might just be attracted to mustaches. Have you seen Hulk Hogan? Have you seen a picture of Hulk Hogan?
Ew.
But he has a mustache.
Give me better examples. Listen, I like a refined mustache. I like
Okay.
one that shows it has been taken care of.
Like
Uh,
Cheech and Chong.
I don't know what they look like.
Oh, they just have mustaches. They're just guys with mustaches. I don't know.
Not all mustaches are the same, Jeff. How dare
Oh, I
you?
know. I know. Yeah, I can't even. I think I could picture Cheech's mustache, and I think Chong had a beard most of the time. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I don't
Listen,
know.
I've been
Whatever.
trying to get this one to go back to a mustache. I don't know.
Yeah, and he says, "You mustache me again." Is that what he says?
You would think.
Nailed it. I nailed that joke, everybody. Good job by me making a joke.
I need everyone to hear me not agreeing.
Whenever I make jokes like that, I make Laura give me a high five.
No.
It makes me so happy. I'm just like, come on, I did that. That was a good one. And I get just like the most reluctant high five, and it makes me very happy. Anyway, anything else with intimacy?
Oh, I think my favorite was when was this moment? I wrote down she's kissing him while he's gasping. Oh, when he first comes up after the flight of doing all 5 flights. It's 6 flights. It's 5, and she's kissing him, and he's just like,
yeah,
dying. I thought that was so funny, so well done. That had to have been exhausting.
Yeah. Well, even to pretend to be out of breath like that.
Well, yeah.
Makes you out of breath,
Yeah, just, again, all the macking and then having to pretend you don't want Jane Fonda kissing,
right.
Like, I need air. No, Jane Fonda, you're right there.
That's right. I did like the everybody who has to climb the stairs gag.
We're not keeping that in.
No, that's okay. So we had tech issues, and but what I was saying when we had tech issues was that as silly as it was, I liked the guys coming to the top of the stair. Not just the guys, mom too, doing the flights of stairs and dying. Like it amused me. It was like, hey, this is real dumb, because how many buildings in New York are walk-ups that people live in?
That was
in
Walter,
1967.
That was Walter's point the whole time. He went, "This doesn't make sense. They would have been doing this already."
Yeah, everyone knows how to go up the flight of stairs in a walk-up. It's not. Most buildings don't have elevators, and
yeah.
Even more, most buildings in 1967 didn't have elevators. Like, everybody was taking the stairs. So it's not believable, but it's funny.
It is.
That there's every one of them dying at the top of the stairs. Any more intimacy?
No, again, it's funny. There really wasn't a lot to talk about with this one. Like,
Yeah.
They're following a formula. There wasn't really anything that stood out other than that one really funny moment. You have someone passing by your window.
No. What about when the upstairs neighbor has to hold her up? so
Oh,
she can
did not
turn the
like
knob.
that. Yeah.
No, not so good.
Mhm. Well,
That's because you thought he was a creeper already.
that's true. That's true. The setup and the payoff was funny for sure.
Mhm.
Um, and like she, the character's comfortable with it. Like she's freewheeling and everything. It's again, it's not that kind of show. This is
Right.
the audience is just gonna know all my triggers by the end of
Sure.
this
Yeah,
series.
you know. We're only
This
three
movie,
seasons into an infinite number of seasons.
I know,
No.
like
Uh,
oh no, this probably set you off at this moment. I'll still watch
I
stuff.
was I was watching I was doing the edit on um Pit and the Pendulum, and at the end of Pit and the Pendulum I warn you about what's going to happen in Meeting Mr. Pony by just like broad saying something's going to happen that you're not going to like. And I was like, didn't want to
And
get
it's
more
terrifying.
specific about the trigger. I think it actually helped. Um, because what I realized was it's like if you give a vague trigger warning, then it lets the person like worry about like 10 things. And then when the
That's
movie
true.
comes, and then you're like, oh, it was only one of those 10 things. Those other 9 things didn't even happen. Whew, I'm relieved. You know? So that was the thought I had
That's
about it.
why. That's why I'm I'm definitely for content warnings and things like that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I know some people say it ruins it for them, and to them, I'm like, you still don't know the entire context of whatever it is. So, but I agree with you, and I think a way to compromise on it is just give a broad, hey, something upsetting happens in this, you know?
Yeah. Like I didn't want to say Brenda's gonna get robbed at gunpoint next episode because well that like now you know what's gonna happen. You know?
Yeah.
Like that's a weird thing. And if even if you say someone's gonna get held up, then like that colors the way you see everything that happens, and you spend the whole time waiting for it to, is this gonna be, is Dylan gonna uh, like, and then you sort of ruined it all over in a totally different way, so like how much do give before it's like, oh well, this wasn't any good anymore.
I as always, I think it depends on the subject matter. There's a big debate right now with and we don't need to go into this, but I think it's worth noting. There's a big debate right now from the movie It Ends With Us,
Uh-huh.
about how this wasn't promoted properly. There should
Mm,
be content warnings and such. And it's like,
yeah.
that's true. That's fair. I'm definitely not planning on seeing it now that I know what it is about. I'm like, ooh, I'm okay. Don't need that in my life.
Right.
The fact that people are saying that they've needed to take a long decompressing walk after, I'm like, that doesn't sound like the film you needed to see. I'm so sorry you saw that. Like,
Yeah, what's weird about that though, as I understand it, is that it's based off of a book that was hugely popular. So it's
yeah,
like it's one of those movies where like you figure opening weekend, 80% of your audience is one of those book readers.
yes,
So they know what this is. So like if it's like if you know what you're going to watch like in its entirety and you still say I'm going to go watch it, then you kind of own that reaction. Like if I go like I know that this like I know I'm going to be freaked out when I watch Silence of the Lambs or whatever, but I choose to do it anyway. And then I am up all night because I can't go to sleep. Well, shame on me. Like I knew I was doing that. Um,
yeah,
so I mean, and it's not bad to have that emotional response to that movie. It would suck to be surprised into it.
yeah.
You
Again,
know.
I just people, if you don't know, read a summary about it. Look it up.
Right. Right.
You have so many ways now of knowing what something is about. Don't ever trust the trailer. Like
Right.
what don't trust the trailer. Don't trust Hollywood. Look up a synopsis. Look up what others have said about it before. Like, because I don't think art is supposed to make you feel something.
Mhm.
So granted, the last thing I would ever want to do with my art or anything I'm in is to make someone relive something that they don't have closure on. However,
Right.
that's beyond my control.
Oh yeah, you can't control that shit.
I can't
It's
control
not your
that.
job.
Just like when an actor takes a role thinking this is going to challenge me and it just
Mhm.
reopens a wound, and it's like, well, you shouldn't have taken that role.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you do have some say,
Right.
especially
Right.
now. But yeah, it's all a whole can of worms, and there's no easy solution except, like, in this case, look up a summary.
Right.
um
So, but can I tell you a very brief story that
Please.
that makes me so happy that someone didn't look up a summary?
Oh dear.
Uh,
Me?
this is what's that?
Is it about me and Scott still?
No, no, it's not. No. Um, I there was a movie theater. I don't think it's still there anymore in Louisville. One of the ones like it became a dollar theater where it would get like second run movies or movies that like went out of the went out of the box office 4 months ago and now they're here for $1. So I went and saw something. I don't remember what I saw, but I'm coming out and there's this little old lady all by herself at the ticket window, kind of hunched over, 70-year-old little lady, gray hair. And she said, I want to see the Borat.
Oh
It was marvelous.
no! Oh no!
I hope that old lady loved that movie. I really do. But I can't believe she really had a firm grasp on what she was walking into there.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. We had, oh my God. Okay. We had a similar thing recently. My mom's not going to hear this. She won't care. But so Deadpool and Wolverine came out.
Yeah.
And um and it was like we were gonna go see it on Saturday maybe, so I think we were talking to her on like Thursday or something, and she said, do you know this Deadpool Wolverine movie? I'm like, yeah, I know. She said, well, when I go on my trip with my friends, we usually go to the movies, and I'm going to suggest we go see it. Al Roker said it's like the funniest thing he's ever seen, and I'm like,
Oh, please tell me you're just gonna let her walk into that.
no, I didn't. I really could have. Really could have. But no, I'm a kind-hearted soul. And I said, do me a personal favor and open up Disney Plus and watch the first Deadpool movie to see if this is something that you're interested in. Because I don't want to, because this movie is funny. I think you're not gonna like it. It's real violent and the language is pretty blue, and I don't think you're going to enjoy it, but you should watch it. Maybe you will, and then you're going to want to go see it with your friends. So she's like, okay, I'm going to watch it. And so she watched it, and I was like, I got to know at what point she bailed, you know? So like a couple weeks later, I was like, hey, did you finish that? And she's like, no. And I'm like, I didn't think so. I was like, how far did you get? And she was like, there were about 40 minutes left. Like, she made it deep.
Which goes in well. I figured she was, because I thought she was gonna end at mashed potatoes / goes in deep. So
No, like she made it. She made it like 40 minutes left in the movie. I was amazed, but that was
make it to, yeah. She got to see the nudie firefight and everything. Like, come on, Donna, you almost got there.
I know, but I'm impressed she made it that far.
Yeah.
But Al Roker's just out there steering people wrong. I mean, like, Al, you calm down. All right.
Yeah.
You almost got my mom to go to see Deadpool Wolverine with like just some other ladies. It would have been hilarious. I'm glad that I cut it off at the pass because #good son. But but I got so much joy out of just the thought of it. So like we were saying, trigger warning. That's how we ended up telling that story.
They are helpful in a
Mm-hmm.
certain way.
Yeah. All right. So Needle Drop Forest. That was a weird adventures and intimacy thing. We went all over the place.
Hey, I'm fine with it. Loved
So
it.
there's not really any music in this except for like the song over the opening credits. And did you notice what they were saying?
They were singing about being barefoot.
They were. They're singing the moral of the story.
Great.
Yeah, it's one of those where like they're just like, in case people don't know what the movie's about, we should tell them what the movie's about. All right, so here's the
Decide yourself for your husband.
right. So here it goes. Going barefoot in the park, where it says "keep off the grass," isn't recommended for the very old. But when you're young and you're in love, the world is beautiful, and I'm not a bit afraid of you catching cold.
Oh my God.
Running barefoot through the park, strolling bareheaded in the rain.
Oh,
Just look for a daisy. Seems kinda crazy to do. But come along, my barefoot love, to the fields that shine with spring. Let me laugh and play all the way, knee deep in daisies with you.
this sounds very suggestive.
It does, but it's also like, and then later she's like, "You would never walk barefoot in a park." He's like, "I'm gonna fucking do it right now."
When it's 17 degrees.
That's right. This is a bad idea, and I immediately regret it, but I'm gonna do it anyway because look at me, I'm madcap, motherfucker.
He lost his feet the next day.
I know, yeah, tiny, like the pinky toe is just gone. But like that's what the movie's about. Like he's too stodgy. He's acting old. The old man is acting younger than he is, and she's more connected to him. Like I thought maybe they were going to do a switcheroo.
Oh no,
You know,
this
like
is Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice.
or the twins, the trustee and the very big trip.
Yeah.
This is not a Steve Sanders switcheroo here.
No.
But I didn't even realize that we had double connected these movies in this episode. Go us. High fives.
Okay.
But yeah, how do you feel about a movie that tells you the story in the theme song? Like it's a thing I've seen done in comedy,
Yeah.
but it's a bold move. I'm like, this is what the story is about.
Here's the thing. They're banking on people like me half paying attention
Mm-hmm.
and figuring, oh, this is going to tell me something. I'm just going to watch the play.
Right.
That's also part of a musical's job. Like
Sure.
the overture.
Mm-hmm.
I love the best description I've ever heard of an overture is this is not verbatim because I don't remember, unfortunately, but Craig on The Office, they're watching Sweeney Todd, and Michael Scott starts to talk, and Craig goes, "We need to listen to the themes in the overture because they're gonna come up later on. And it's gonna be important in the show." And I'm like, that is so true and brilliant. Like, because yes, an overture is beautiful, but you don't often think about the fact that like, oh, it's letting you know, like it's telling you the story.
It's little bits of every song in the act. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or in the whole show. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah.
It's
No,
pretty
I know
cool.
what's coming.
And it kind of gives you a sense of, am I gonna feel uplifted by this show? Am I gonna be emotional, swept off my feet, or am I gonna be worried about being killed and put in a pie?
Right. Or where's the patter? Where's the patter song? Picture the quick triplets did it. Did you watch
Bobby Booby Bobby?
Yeah. Did you watch Only Murders?
No.
Oh.
I'm holding off because I'm thinking the Meryl Streep plotline is going to be a little too close to home and devastating, and I've tried enough this summer.
The show's not a. It's not a devastating show. I don't think.
I know, but like the stuff I know about that plotline is just like too much for me right now.
Gotcha.
But I still want to watch it.
Yeah.
Listen, I watched devastating and depressing shit all the time. I say these things will bother me, and then I do it anyway, like you do.
That's right. That's what we do. You make a choice. You're like, sometimes I'm sad as fuck and I have to listen to Paul Simon. I don't know. That's not uplifting. Simon and Garfunkel are not, I mean, they're not making you, there's not a lot of toe tappers there.
No.
But there's not a lot. But sometimes you lean in because that's what you need, you know? But yeah, in that season, Steve Martin has a patter song in a musical, and it's which of the Pickwick triplets did it? But then I don't any more than that. I just know that, like, because that's the part he's trying to learn the whole time. Yeah, it's pretty fun. And then there's a whole song about patter songs.
I'm sure I've heard that term used, but this should tell you how long it's been since I've been cast in a musical, because I'm like, oh.
It's just one of those like where the lyrics are just very quick.
Yeah.
You know? So the
makes sense.
Baby Bobby Bobby, you know, how she's gonna say
the very model of a modern major general.
Yeah, exactly. All that stuff.
Everyone's fave.
Yeah, it's good. All right. What else time?
I feel like I have a lot for what else.
All right. So give me something.
Why was he putting his tie in the dictionary?
Bookmark?
For why?
Or to iron out his tie?
That made more sense.
Yeah. It's probably to iron out the tie. Keep it flat and straight.
There were so many period things like that where I was like, this is so interesting and I don't know about it. Did you clock the story that Mrs. Banks, Corey's mom, was telling about, like, because Corey said, you should go travel. And she went, oh, yes, travel alone. I heard a story about a woman who traveled on her own and fell off a ship. Did that sound familiar to you?
Oh, it sounds like everything I'm worried about when you go on a ship, but go ahead and tell me.
That's totally how Pete Campbell's mom dies.
Oh, of course, yes.
And I went, shit.
Hey, Bob.
I was like, it's Pete's mom.
That's funny. I like it. Anytime you can talk about Pete's mom, especially that part.
My last what else is Walter and I are now manifesting getting to put on the show and do it 2 different ways, but each night will be a toss-up. One, we're going to do it like, obviously, him, Paul, and me, Corey, and then other nights, we're going to switch, because I'm definitely more of a Paul, and he's more of a Corey.
Okay. So it's like when Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen do Waiting for Godot, but they switch roles every night.
Yeah, and people will be more irate that we're doing it because, oh no, gender role reversal.
No, what they'll realize is that you're just paying homage to Donna and David.
Exactly.
That's what it is. And how can you not? Okay, so I have a couple of things too, but at first I want to ask the question that the answer is obviously no. Is this anyone's defining role?
No,
not a one of them.
No.
Which is interesting because this movie's pretty well known. I mean, Neil Simon plays are well known. Maybe not anymore. Maybe not for people younger than 40. But you know, when I grew up, I knew what this was. You know.
I had not. This movie pointed out to me that I had not seen Jane Fonda younger than Monster-in-Law ever.
That's interesting.
Because I was watching her like, she looks so different.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yes and no. It's just age.
Right, yeah. But yeah, she was, whew.
I mean, yes.
Good on you, Jane Fonda. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, this isn't not even Herb Edelman. That's Stan Zbornak, for God's sake. You know, that's who that guy is. All right. Would you eat in that restaurant? The Armenian restaurant upstairs,
no,
in Staten Island. Which part of those things is the turnoff? Is it Staten Island? It's Staten Island, isn't it?
It's Staten Island. I still haven't been to Staten Island.
There you go. what I figured.
It's too difficult to get to for one thing. And then it's also not great when everyone's like, well, all the Trumpers are over there. And I'm like, oh, well,
Yeah.
I'm less likely to go then.
So, yeah, that didn't feel to me super realistic. Just going to Staten Island and back for some Armenian food, like in an evening.
No.
You know, like the ferry back there and back. And I'm sure people did that shit. Like that's how, people lived life. But that seemed like more than I'd be willing to commit to on a Tuesday night. I think I'm with Paul on this.
They're in the village. Surely they could have found some Armenian food nearby.
I would imagine. But I'd probably eat there. It just looked cool. Like I bet that place has great food. I bet
they have great food. I think the fact too that they were all a little too much in each other's space with like hands and hair and shit. I was like, they are again germaphobe. Like,
right.
I want to know things are being done properly.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just feel like that's one of those places where when you see like two like Michelin star chefs talking to each other about the best meal they ever had, it's like it's an Anthony Bourdain back alley kind of situation. And you're like, this is the greatest thing I've ever eaten. But then you don't see the next day, like when he was green or something.
Yeah.
But that just seems like one of those kind of things, that like I watched it and I went, yeah, that's an Anthony Bourdain kind of story.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Last, what else for me? Everyone can get to the roof and traverse the roof quite easily, as we see throughout this movie. Why doesn't someone put a board over the hole?
Such a great question.
Like you've all been up there multiple times. So put a board down. Just one of you. I mean,
it's the New York way. I'm not going to fix it. I'm just going to complain about it.
Man, I don't know. You got snow in your face in the middle of the night while you were sleeping.
Unlike Walter and I, who have cleaned up 2 dead rats in our front area the last few days.
Well, see, there you go. Way to take care of your city.
It's just, I don't want to see it.
Sure. We had a skunk out in front of our house.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a couple weeks ago. I was like, ugh, and it's like so a skunk must have like just right near our windows, and it faded, and then whatever, and then Laura comes home and she's like, "There's a dead skunk in the road, like yeah," and so we had to call the city like 4 times, like to get it to come pick it up, but it only stunk that first time.
That poor skunk.
Oh, no, you're not going to get me poor skunk.
I love skunks.
No, I am afraid of the stinky. I don't want any part of it.
I don't either, but they're so cute.
Nope. No. In some ways, Marge, you and I are very different people. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right. EST time. Most accurate New York City apartment in film history?
I can't say. I don't want to say.
Yeah.
I would say it's on the top end because it it isn't anything on Friends.
Right. Yeah, it's none of that. Yeah.
I'm a freelance writer. Fuck you.
So much angry.
Yes.
Hey, your first edict. I'm so happy.
I would say it's definitely up there again with like the weird random levels, the super tiny bedroom, the no bath. Thankfully, we have a bath. Having to use pipes as hangers and shit. I mean, I was just telling our new roommate, like, oh yeah,
get off my pipe.
No. Like, oh
this is my pipe. Leslie's pipe. Don't you touch it. New neighbor. Leslie's pipe. Was that what you were telling her?
no. I said, put whatever you want on or in front of the heater right now while you can. Because, like, you know, once the heater goes off, that's a shelf again.
Ah, there you go.
Like, and in a few more months, those poor books are going to be displaced.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't know you lived in a transformer apartment where the
yeah.
radiators become shelves
Oh,
in
yeah.
the right temperature setting.
Oh, yeah. They whistle and everything. They clink and clank, and it sounds like there are little elves working in pipes at night. It's great.
Yeah. Oh, cool. You know, but you get used to the sounds of your place. You know, like, and they would too, and they seem to, right? Like they seem to get used to their surround. They gussied it up. It was all pretty. I don't know how you ignore the hole in the ceiling in February, but whatever. Um,
You,
like they adapted,
they did.
you know.
They did.
And I think that if they hadn't gone crazy, it would have been just fine for them. Like if she had just like taken a few breaths every now and again, and if Paul had maybe paid some attention, and given her what she wanted instead of having to get ready to go to court in the morning, I think it would have, that probably would have
Hey,
been a fine place for them for a little while.
sometimes some of us have a George Bailey moment where we've just picked up the stairwell knob too many
Yeah, sure.
times and
Uh-huh.
we're mad and all we can think about is this crummy old house.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It happens.
Stupid,
Don't
silly, careless people.
don't take it out on your loved ones.
And kids
Just
teacher.
oh yeah, don't take it out on your kid's teacher. She cried for an hour.
That's my friend George Bailey.
Your money's no good here.
All right. I love that movie.
We should watch that.
We do. All right.
Oh,
No, do you have any ST? Yeah.
oh yeah, this is the most repetitive comedy.
Okay.
Cause
Because,
like,
yeah.
oh, I got a
You get
list.
people on the stairs.
Five. I have a case in court in the morning,
Right.
and like everyone talking about how cold it is. There's no bathtub. Like, you
Mhm.
know, Neil Simon said, "I see your rule of threes,"
Yeah.
and I say, "Fuck it."
That's right. I'm gonna go more. But
Yeah.
you know what? There's a like this is not uproarious. This movie. It's
No.
like it's funny. But there is a point with stuff like that where like 2, 3, 4 times it's like it's so funny.
Yeah.
And if you keep doing it, it becomes incredibly lame. And and everybody hates it. And if you keep doing it, it becomes hilarious again. And that's just the way that works. So he doesn't get to do it enough so that it becomes hilarious again,
Yeah. Okay.
But like Letterman used to do stuff like that on his show. And all I can think of is the Norm Macdonald impression of him, where he'd be like, "Hey, I was on the subway today, Paul, and this lady said, 'Hey, you got any gum? You got any gum?'" And like Letterman would do stuff like that, where it's just like a little thing, and then he would just keep repeating it. "Hey, you got any gum?" And by like the 8th time that he did it, it was the funniest thing you'd ever heard. And it's like getting there, you're just like, God, shut up with this.
I
And
never
then,
made it that far in his episodes.
oh, you got to make it that far
I
because
guess
that,
so.
yeah, you have to kill it, and then it's funny again, and it works, but not like that in this.
Yeah. Again, I get why people do Neil Simon. He's funny-ish. I don't know. He's one of those anymore where I'm like, I wonder if he's just kind of bigger because we've kept him big, Like,
I don't know. Have you seen Murder by Death?
no.
We watched that this last weekend, and because it was I'd never heard of it, But I'm going to tell you this, and you're going to want to watch it immediately.
Okay.
Okay. It's a murder mystery, and all of the characters are knockoffs of famous detectives.
Oh, nice.
So, like, instead of Nick and Nora Charles, there's Dick and Dora Charleston. And there's like a Sam Spade character named Sam Diamond. And like, so they're all there to solve a mystery, and it's a lot like Clue. And Peter Falk is in it, and Alec Guinness, and it's just like Eileen Brennan, so Mrs. Peacock is in it as a younger, and it's such a send up of all of those detective stories where each of the detectives is solving it everything they talk, and it sounds just like all of those other movies that it's built on. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like something I'd like. Like, nice. Oh, it's like Clue, and Peter Falk is in it, and so is Alec Guinness, and and it works. It's clever. But again, it's not like stitches in your side funny.
And like, I love Brighton Beach Memoirs. That is my one good experience with doing a Neil Simon show so far. Don't write me off, directors. But again, it's one of those that like it's funny based on who you have saying the stuff, because like there's a lot of like teenage boy going through puberty kind of humor in it, and it can either sound really gross or like you just needed someone who's going to be like, very big and boisterous with it.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Oh, that one's fun.
I mean, I've heard of it, but I don't know what happens in it. So
I played the sickly, snotty 13-year-old in it.
Snooty?
Snotty, snooty, whichever.
Any other ESTs?
No.
All right. I think that's got mine too. And so I think that once again, we have proven my theory that everything comes back to Aaron Spelling. Even Barefoot in the Park.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. So next week,
did we decide?
Well, we had a short list because we just picked things that were France related.
Yes.
So the one I wrote for next week was so the three we wrote down are Frantic, The Da Vinci Code, and The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Okay.
The cartoon.
Yes.
Duh. Well, I don't know. I mean,
we're not watching the Anthony Hopkins Hunchback of Notre Dame. No.
All right. I mean, people could think. Well, we watched Splendor in the Grass. That's not like,
a Disney version of Splendor in the Grass.
That'd be awesome.
Anthony Pie. That's my Disney princess version of that.
Ukulele in the Cum Waterfalls. Disney-fied.
Splendor in the Grass.
We've lost our minds.
Don't have sex. Don't have sex. You are kids, so don't have sex.
So I don't know. We're gonna watch something about France next week. Probably Frantic.
What is Frantic?
Frantic is a Roman Polanski movie with Harrison Ford set in Paris, and it's like a neo-noir.
Okay.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good.
You don't want to watch Da Vinci Code so you can tell your story?
Oh, we're definitely going to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we don't. I mean, whichever one we want to do next week is fine.
Okay. How many times are we going to get to watch a Paris set movie?
There are 3 summer episodes in Paris.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So we wrote down 3, but we can always find more, and swap any of those out.
Explore.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Cool.
So I don't know. So whatever it is, you'll find out here next week. I suppose. The mysteries of life.
Ooh.
All right. Well, so until then, Cheesemeisters.
Cheers.
Cheers.